I feel as though we should be doing a duet rather than a fireside chat.
All we need is a guitar, yeah.
So let me introduce Ivan Filletti. Ivan is the CEO of Gaming Malta. I first met Ivan a couple of years ago. When I spoke earlier, I was talking about reputation. He invited me in to have a look at one or two things in terms of his remit in Malta and built around the responsibility piece. So we're just going to have an informal chat in front of friends for 10-15 minutes. And Ivan, why don't we start off? Why don't you tell us a little bit about Gaming Malta, its purpose, and the journey iGaming has gone through on the island?
Yes, Steve. Hi, everybody. Gaming Malta is essentially a non-profit foundation set up by the government of Malta and the Malta Gaming Authority. So essentially, we've got the MGA, which is the regulator of the industry, and then there is us. So we created an actual demarcation line between the MGA, the regulator, and us as a promotional arm. So essentially what we do, we promote the island as a home of gaming excellence. We like to say we're not a center, we're not a hub, we're a home, because we want the gaming companies to feel comfortable doing business on the island. And all this is backed by the government of Malta. And since we started, we started our life in the iGaming sector. Now we've extended our remit to the broader church of gaming also, so video game development and esports and immersive tech, and all through the gaming sector essentially.
So I remember last year you were here, you spoke about the Respect campaign. Appropriately, we're at the RG Symposium this afternoon. So tell us about that approach from Malta.
Now, first of all, primarily I was really happy, that an RG Symposium has been, held here, which I think is very, very important for the industry. We communicate continuously on the island, when it comes to the iGaming sector. Maybe to put a bit, things into context, Steve, right? So the sector accounts for 10% of our GVA. We see about 14,000 employees working within the industry, in direct and direct. So it's a massively important industry for us. It's a massively important sector. When Malta joined the EU in 2004, we were the first European jurisdiction to regulate essentially the iGaming sector. So we had, the first mover advantage. It was a clear case of, blue ocean waters at its best. So I remember, at the time, about, a couple of years ago, briefing, the iGaming CEOs on the island and telling them, hey, we need to come together as an industry and we need to ensure that we promote, good reputation for the sector. And I remember them looking at me as if sort of, okay, so what do we do now? And, this has been an ongoing conversation. Because I believe also, and I think we've heard it earlier on today, I think the industry had as yet done enough really to have a coherent and holistic strategy. So we decided, to as Malta basically, to be the flag bearer for the industry and, launching a campaign called Respect, which is R-E-S-P-E-C-T, very much inspired by Aretha Franklin, essentially. So R stands for responsible gaming, E stands for entertainment, S stands for speed, P is for product, E is for enhanced due diligence, C is for consistency, and T is for talent. So all the factors, all the sum of all the parts show what the industry stands for and, essentially what the industry is all about. And we are going out there and telling and preaching basically to the unconverted, right? To external stakeholders from the industry, look, this industry needs to be respected because of the responsible gaming measures, of equality and diversity within the sector, the ESG initiatives that are, taken up. And as a country and as a jurisdiction, we are proud to be, the flag bearer also for that.
So obviously, over the years, an MGA license, a Maltese license, has diminished in value to a certain extent with other jurisdictions opening up and doing their own licensing. Why is Malta still relevant in today's age?
very strong and robust ecosystem. And I do not underestimate that. And I don't think we should underestimate that also. So all the thought leadership essentially is done from the island. We have over 300 gaming operators from within the island. So a lot of the, of the leadership, the thinking is done there. I think one of the largest, some of the largest iGaming events are held on the island, and that's exactly why. Apart from we have, fantastic weather also. It's always a joke, the Nordics, they always tell me, we will never go back to living to 9 months of darkness. The fact that you wake up in the morning and it's the sun shouldn't be underestimated. But more than that is also because the jurisdiction and the island embraces the industry. And I don't think there are lots of jurisdictions who would effectively do that. For example, also, I actually chair the iGaming Council for government, which essentially means, that I've got, 10% of Malta's GVA around the table, together, with the Minister of Economy, and essentially they have, access and they have entry, to the policymakers within the industry. And that's very, very important. So, we talk all about this. We have education institutions who are doing degree programs and diploma programs essentially in iGaming also. So, and these are the things that we need to continue. So, Steve, there isn't a silver bullet, but there is a sum of all the parts in us, being there. I like to tease the Americans that it's God bless America, but also God bless Malta for iGaming, and essentially being the Silicon Valley for iGaming.
So you've seen a number of changes. Let's just expand on that iGaming piece, because what I've seen in Malta as compared to some jurisdictions, you almost have a direct line into government to get things changed. And I think things like recouping losses and various other things have brought about action on the island.
Yeah, and really there's no, the magic source is, Steve, is communication. So there is a constant communication line with the iGaming leaders on the island. We understand the challenges. We put also our own challenges to them. But there's essentially a very good rapport, between two parties. And I think is that we're extremely transparent. They're extremely transparent with us also. And, we continue working on that. You're looking at initiatives like the highly qualified personnel initiative, for example, where people within the iGaming sector have an advantageous income tax, for example, for being professionals, within the island. We have a responsible gaming foundation also, that's also overseen, by government. So there's all this thing where we've geared up all this ecosystem around it and joined the dots, to continue strengthening the industry ultimately.
I suppose, obviously at the moment, a lot of change going on in the iGaming industry, people being laid off, moving jobs and everything. So I know one of the things you've been heavily involved in is trying to expand the industry into a complementary skill set, if we want to call it that, in terms of developers being able to work for different types of companies, not just iGaming but video gaming, etc. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah. So look, it's very much what we're seeing is a convergence of technology, whereby all the technologies when it comes to AI, blockchain, and they're all converging, whereby affecting also the different sectors, correct? So we've got our video gaming ecosystem talking to the iGaming ecosystem. And they're actually telling them, look, we can, design games better than you can. So, can we collaborate there? We've got esports. One of the largest tournaments held in esports is actually held in Malta, the ESL Pro League season. And, they're also looking towards, talking to the iGaming sector. Suffice to know, though, Steve, a couple of years ago, it wasn't that easy, right? So I've sat in meetings whereby, with banker associations, where they actually squirm in their seats and they say, "But you guys are vice. That's what you do." And this is what I say, as a jurisdiction, we need to continue communicating about that and how responsible gaming is that. But then again, you get a banking CEO, telling us, "Look, your onboarding processes are more stringent actually than ours." And these are the things which we need to go out there and tell the external stakeholders within the European Union, within the commissions, etc., of what the industry stands for and what it's all about. Once again, when it comes to talent is the war for talent is global, really. So that's why we've created specialized programs when it comes to the industry, which we feel is extremely important.
You spoke earlier a little bit about tax. Now, obviously, Pillar 2 is looming around the world as we look in terms of one of the things perhaps in the past Malta has been successful for is that an effective 5% corporate tax rate was possible down to certain things. That's going to disappear with Pillar 2 if it progresses in the way we all think. What's happening with regards to Malta, again, comes back to this relevance question, I suppose.
Yeah, so what's happening there? First of all, it will only disappear for companies which are in scope, right? So with revenues of 750 million plus initially. So that's how it would be. Once again, Steve, so we've had, together with government, we've brokered a number of meetings, with our finance ministry, etc. We've proposed a number of solutions also. These are effectively being also discussed at an EU level, and that's as much as I can say for now.
Okay. So, in terms of Gaming Malta, you tried to bring in this incubator piece in terms of growing new talent. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so basically it's first of all, we also run an incubator space called Basecamp, which essentially is a soft landing ground for startups in the gaming world, essentially, which gives them essentially an office, a very nice, we have quite a nice facility actually for people to feel comfortable working once again from the island and getting there, and also joining the pieces on an investment level from iGaming to video gaming and video gaming to iGaming. We have iGaming stakeholders looking into investing into the video gaming space, and I think probably with us being a small jurisdiction, that gives us an advantage because we're nimble when it comes to then the decision making, which is of perennial importance really in making that happen. When it comes to if I had to be when it comes to employees, we've had companies who unfortunately had to close down and making their employees redundant. And I remember one particular case was in December of 2 years ago, just a weekend before Christmas. I remember closing off my laptop on a Friday afternoon, calling my wife and telling her, I'm coming home, let's prepare for Christmas. The light starts flashing on my mobile and all the headlines and all the news, because an iGaming organization closed shop 3 days before Christmas. And that was a shock to us because it never happened in the industry. And also, people were made actually redundant from day one. And we had situations where we had to speak to the employees, we had to take care of their mental health. They had loans to pay, etc., etc. But what I can say is, within 2 weeks, 3 weeks, the majority of those employees were all positioned in different organizations. And that is the strength of a jurisdiction. That is the strength where, as government is working together with entities like us, essentially, we are very close to the ecosystem. So, for example, we support and fund a forum called HR Connect. So we've got 30 of the top chief people officers around that forum, and if something like that happens, it's immediate. Basically, we send an alert, and we start working and placing people, etc., etc. And although it was over Christmas, and most of the talent managers had either left the island or went for holidays, etc., we still made it happen. And that gives me, a lot of, satisfaction. One, for our job, because essentially, ultimately, we're in public service, and being of service to, to the industry is I would say is a privilege. That's the way we see that.
Well, we're running out of time, but just so finally, I mean, that's just reminded me of one particular story when I was on the island. It was when Ukraine was invaded, and I know you got involved in some sort of parallel work, I would describe it as. Tell us.
Yes.
Finish off with
so
that.
Basically, yes. So we had a situation where one game studio were actually looking at repatriating all their employees to the island. And unfortunately, with the war breaking out, Malta couldn't fly into Ukraine and all that. But what we did is we helped in repatriating a number of employees. And I think it was the first time where I experienced post-traumatic stress disorder in a way that I remember a female employee arriving to the island with just her hand luggage and nothing else, and her pale was ashen white, coming to the country with nothing else, essentially, and that's part of our help also in helping them to get working on the island again, integrating within the community and all that. So there is a commercial element to it, there's a business element to it, but ultimately there's a human element to it, which is very, very important, which also comes, to take, and that's why the industry needs to be respected, because the number of initiatives which I see coming from the iGaming sector, from clean-up campaigns around our island, from equality and diversity practices, from the way they treat, the talents and all that. This is something that, as an industry, we need to come together and we need to flag our wave about it, and tell people this is what we stand for.
Okay, Ivan, thanks very much. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.